You guys know that. Braden Valente, is that correct, Braden?
Yep.
And he is with the Bounty, a 42 Viking Express out of Stewart to our south here. And he is going to speak on the topic of wahoo fishing tonight. And this young man has a lot of knowledge, so please feel free to ask him questions, and let's be courteous and make sure that we keep our conversations down to a minimum and put our phones on silent. And if we have to carry on a conversation, please take it outside. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. All right, what's up, everybody? My name is Braden, and I work on a charter fishing boat down in Stewart, the Bounty, I previously said. And the other day I was over at the Sailfish Bar and sat next to Brad, and we were playing bingo, getting to it. I don't even drink much. I was just visiting a buddy that was in town, and he needed somebody to come talk about wahoo fishing, so I figured I'd come down and talk about what I learned the past 4 or 5 years I've been charter fishing out of Stewart. Well, I guess what I noticed the most about wahoo is they kind of, you fight them different than any other fish that comes up in your spread, you know, because especially charter fishing, we're just fishing, 50-pound mono, usually circle hook or J hook. And from beginning to end, it hits different than anything else, and you gotta reel it in different. We're targeting sailfish, mahi, tuna, wahoo, kingfish. And when that wahoo comes up, you definitely know it. It hits like nothing else. The line starts screaming off, and especially using mono, your job is to lock up the drag as soon as possible. The more he chews on that ballyhoo and gets that line in his mouth, you're done. You lose him at step one. First thing you do is you gotta get them to eat. As long as your ballyhoos are swimming good. Usually, common question is how fast you gotta troll. And I usually say 5 to 7 knots as long as your ballyhoo are swimming good. Turn around as long as they're swimming good, that's a good speed. As long as the current changes, wind changes, it's different every day out there. Sailfish comes up, hits it with his bill one time. Drag just kind of clicks out a little bit. You gotta feed him a little bit to hook him. Wahoo, you lock it right up. Once you got them hooked, sweet. Now you got to reel them in. And they're different because they will take off, extremely fast. Away from the boat, towards the boat, left and right. They'll have you walking all around the place. And your job is to keep the line tight. Because what I make sure, before I hand the line off to a client, is I make sure it's swimming away from the boat. Because I've had before, you're good, you got a good bite, and it's the wahoo because of the way he took off. And go to hand it off, and he's swimming at the boat, and by the time the client gets tight on it, the fish is gone because he already ate the fish. He was swimming towards the boat, cut you off. So if you're able to outsmart him and keep the line tight the whole time and finally bring him up to the boat, now you gotta gaff him. And my personal experience, do not touch the line. When that thing floats up, he might not even know what's going on. He might just be chilling there, right there. Your job is to pick him up before he even realizes what's going on. If that fish, if he realizes that there's something going on, he feels the weight of your hand on the line, that's when he starts doing that shake of death that comes up and cuts you right off, goes right, left, under the props, everything else. So if you pick him up before he even realizes what's going on, you got him, So that's just personally what I learned just charter fishing, because we do the same thing fishing for those pelagic species every day. But when that wahoo comes up, you want to be prepared and know how to react quickly so you can get it in the box and not experience a heartbreaker. You know what I mean? But other than that, there's a handful of other ways you can go out and target wahoo. Like you can go out there and live bait for them. I like pulling little feathers. You already have a rod or two ready to go with some big circle hook on wire. Pulling little feathers for little bonitas or little tunas. And then you bump those around with that bigger setup that you have already ready to go, because they don't do too well in a live well. You need a tuna tube to kind of keep them going and more lively. But other than that, you could high speed. Over in the Bahamas is good. High speed, and I wouldn't. I've done that a handful of times out here, but like I said, I don't know if we have that concentration. Ironically, he asked me to come talk about wahoo, and we had a good wahoo fishing this past December, better than I've ever experienced. I think it was because of the dang shrimp boats that were out there dragging their nets. They throw their bycatch over, all the grunts and stuff that they don't want. I think the big tunas and big wahoos come down, follow them, and give us more opportunities at catching them. Other than that, Does anybody have any questions about wahoo fishing?
You use ballyhoo?
Ballyhoo? Oh yeah.
Ballyhoo?
Yep.
Do you control on the surface or down?
We have about 4 or 5 lines on the surface, and then I usually run a planer rod. And that planer rod will bring the ballyhoo down 40 to 60 feet, and I'll run a wire on it, you know, for a kingfish or something come up toothy. But more times than not, the predator fish is going to come up and hit your. I'll run naked ballyhoos and have maybe one with a skirt on it, and more times than not, that predator is going to come up and hit the one that looks different out of the whole spread. You're gonna, you know what I mean? So that planer rod's good, you know, sharks, kingfish, occasional wahoo, but in my experience, they come up and they hit that mono for some reason, even though the wire's in the spread. But yes.
What size ballyhoo you run?
Ooh, smalls or mediums.
Okay, nothing big.
Nothing too big, you know, just because we're fishing for everything, especially on a charter. You know, if those little
Yeah.
peanuts come up or a little sail comes up, I want to be able to hook it.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Do you double look the ballyhoo?
Personally, no. I'll just run one 7/0. If it's like a medium ballyhoo, I'll just run one